Oh, joining me live from Maroochydore is the new Deputy Liberal Leader, Ted O'Brien. Ted O'Brien, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on your election. But first I want to start by expressing my condolences to your leader, Sussan Ley, with the death of her mother, Angela Braybrooks. Would you like to make any comment in relation to that?
Andrew, thank you. And I think your audience, together with me, share those condolences. Sussan Ley has lost her mother, Angela. And when you read about Angela's past, the life that she has led, clearly a woman of enormous strength, resilience and hard work, characteristics she has certainly passed down to her daughter, Sussan. She was clearly a wonderful mum. She was a businesswoman running a kindy. She trained as a nurse. She brought the family to Australia. An extraordinary story. Mums are the best, Andrew, and clearly Angela was among the best of them, and so may she rest in peace.
And it comes at a sensitive time, I guess, or a busy time for Sussan Ley, taking on the job, and amid tensions between Liberals and Nationals over the defection of Jacinta Price and trying to reach a coalition agreement. Do you think that will happen? Do you think there will be an agreement, or is there a chance there won't be?
There's no doubt, Andrew, that the Liberal Party and the National Party are at their strongest when they are in a coalition and they're working together. That's proven to be the case over many, many years, and it will continue to be the case, I believe. At the start of terms of government, like we see now, there will always be a negotiation between the Liberal Party and the National Party, as it should be. And Sussan Ley is having very productive conversations with David Littleproud. Those discussions are being held in good faith, and I believe it will come to the right conclusion.
Are the Nationals saying to you that in order to get this agreement together, you'll have to commit to a nuclear policy? Look, the
discussions are between Sussan and David Littleproud. I'll leave it to them. But when it does come to issues of policy, the Liberal Party has already made it very clear what our approach is. And that is we need to be listening to the Australian people. We'll be looking at the evidence and the data also as it comes in. And together we'll be drawing conclusions and formulating policy. That's the approach that Sussan has rightly laid out. It's an approach which really speaks to being inclusive, being consultative, and respecting the primacy of the Liberal Party room. That'll continue to be the case.
You've certainly been very clear about that, but I wonder if the Nationals are, because there's a lot of talk there insisting you get rid of the net zero policy to stay together as a coalition. Is that true?
Oh, look, Andrew, I can't speak on behalf of the National Party. And as you see at the end of each election, people come out and they express their views, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not for me as a Liberal to judge the National Party, and I don't intend on doing so. I've heard the same reports as you have heard, and now is a time for us to be all reflecting on the election that's been and to learn the lessons from it. There's a range of views within the National Party, within the Liberal Party, and that's a healthy thing. We don't believe in groupthink. We believe in thrashing things out, and everybody should have a voice, not just within the party room, but indeed right across Australia, and that's our priority for now.
Do you think David Littleproud will buy that? Do you think at the end of the day he'll say that's all right, but perhaps the sticking point then will be number of shadow ministries and what they are and the like?
Again, Andrew, I'm probably not going to be very helpful to you on this one. I don't know what David Littleproud is thinking with respect to the negotiation. That's a matter for him, as it should be. It's not for me as the Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party.
Well, has Sussan Ley consulted you? Has Sussan Ley consulted you about the conversation she's had with David Littleproud?
Sussan is absolutely very consultative, and those consultations, as I'm sure you'd respect, Andrew, will remain confidential.
Well, just on that, I mean, you were a bit ambiguous at your first press conference with Sussan about whether you'd want to take on the Shadow Treasurer role. Traditionally, you get to choose your portfolio. Will you be taking on the Shadow Treasury role, do you think?
Those conversations continue to be had, Andrew. We haven't finalised them, and until they are finalised, I won't be preempting any
has she promised it? Has she promised it to someone else? Has she promised that job to someone else?
Whether it be for myself or for anybody else. In due course, Andrew, all of that will be made very clear.
Ted,
it's early days. We've had initial conversations.
Let me ask you very, very bluntly, and it's sort of a yes or no question. Has Sussan Ley promised the Shadow Treasurer job to someone other than yourself?
I understand your wish for a yes or no answer to any question, Andrew, and I respect that. I really do. But again, my answer doesn't change. We are having these discussions at the moment. Susan and David are talking about the coalition agreement. There's further discussions to be had as decisions are made about the shadow ministry. I won't be preempting, whether it be my position or anyone else's position, through your program today. And that's no disrespect to you, Andrew. I know you're doing your job and you're asking all the right questions, but I'm just not going to give you the answer you like, I'm afraid.
I mean, let me just ask you briefly, is there part of you which thinks being Shadow Treasurer is a job you'd like to do?
I think that every portfolio is going to be key, especially over this term of government, and where we are fortunate as a Liberal Party, and indeed the National Party is having such an extraordinary depth of talent, Andrew. And I am sad, in truth, to have lost so many fantastic, talented candidates and also colleagues at the last election. But I'm also excited by not just the depth of talent, but the next generation, which offers extraordinary amount of ideas, work ethic and talent. And we need to bring that to bear. And we'll be doing that as a united party. And I'm looking forward to seeing that over the days and weeks ahead.
You were the key person behind the nuclear policy at the election. Do you concede a mistake was made in going to the election with the policy of building 7 federal government-owned nuclear power stations?
I certainly concede, Andrew, that the Australian people did not accept what the coalition was offering across its policy suite. And our priority right now is to find out why. I think it would be premature to rush to any conclusion that any one policy was right or wrong. This is why we have to listen. And if we don't do that right now, when will we? Now is the time for us to look at the data and the evidence as it comes in. There'll be further analysis to be undertaken, but also to genuinely listen to the Australian people. We need to get to the bottom of why the 3rd of May happened the way it did. Those discussions will inform our thinking. The one thing we will not be changing, can I say, Andrew, is the values which unite the party room. These are Liberal values. Liberal values are Australian values. It's our belief in freedom, in equality and a fair go. Our belief that with effort comes reward, with rights come commensurate responsibilities. We believe in the individual, in the family, in community, in enterprise and entrepreneurship. These are the basic foundation blocks upon which our party will build policy moving forward. It'll be value-led, future-focused and economically driven, ultimately anchored to a very clear and positive vision for Australia's future. That's where we're at as we now go out, listen to the Australian people, and as Sussan Ley says, meeting them where they're at.
Do you think it was a mistake to announce that nuclear policy and then not put a cost immediately on it?
There's no doubt people will have views on what part of the sequence of any policy, whether it be nuclear or others, could have been done better. And what I can say, Andrew, as the person who was certainly the shadow minister for that portfolio and now as the deputy leader of the Liberal Party, I'll have big ears. We'll be listening to this. And there are alternate views. There's various views around the party room. We need to be listening to the Australian people. We'll look at the data and the evidence. We'll draw our conclusions and we'll go from there.
All right,
no policy is out. No policy is in.
All right. Could the coalition come to a policy now of, say, lifting the nuclear moratorium and letting the market decide, but not having that we're building 7 federal government nuclear power stations?
I know you phrased that as a question, Andrew, but I'll take it as a point of view. Not necessarily yours, but just a proposition that might come to the table. That proposition and all propositions will be duly considered. We won't be rushing to any conclusion. The most important thing is that we get it right. The Liberal Party is united by our values. We'll be values-led, we will be future-focused and economically driven. But right now, we need to listen to the Australian people. Humbly so, by the way. That's our intent.
Ted O'Brien, I understand what you're saying, and you've been pretty consistent in your interviews this week with we're going to go out there and listen, and that's fair enough. But as you sit here now, or stand here now, should I say, as the Deputy Liberal leader, are there any mistakes from the campaign you look at or the policy settings and go, that's what cost us? Whether it be work from home, not backing tax cuts, nuclear, whatever. You must have a view as to something you heard even in your local community, even at polling booths around the country, that you think cost you in this election. Peter Dutton's performance as well.
Andrew, I'll only give you half an answer if that's okay. That half of the answer is yes, absolutely. I believe there's an enormous room for improvement, without a doubt. That part, which I won't be very forthcoming with you, is the specifics. And why? Because this is a conversation I'll be having with colleagues. You may have noticed over the last fortnight, I haven't been out there in the media outlining my observations. For me personally, everybody has their own way, their own style. For me personally, this is a conversation I'll be having with my colleagues, while I also get out there and listen. This very week, I'm back in my electorate, Andrew, and so this week I have a road trip. So I'll be out and about, and that starts first thing tomorrow morning, where we publicise to the public where I'll be. We'll be pitching a tent, mobile offices. We'll be listening and learning, getting feedback from my own local constituents here in Fairfax. We'll be doing this right across the country over time. We need to be listening to people. That's the name of the game, as we reset, bound by the unity of purpose, and that is our values.
Well, speaking of unity, the split Liberal Party room vote, just 4 votes in it between Sussan Ley and Angus Taylor. Do you think that bodes badly going forward?
I think that contest is a healthy one, just as the contest for Deputy Leader was a healthy one. We're a democracy, and you do not see democracy at play anywhere better than within the Liberal Party. That's what we do. Again, there's no such thing as groupthink within the Liberal Party, Andrew. Everybody has their say. And the leadership was contested and it was resolved. And now we all are united around Sussan Ley, who's going to do a fantastic job as our leader. And I think what she made really clear last week was key to all of us. Our objective now as a Liberal Party is to unite around those values and to engage the Australian people, to meet Australians where they're at. And we'll be doing that as a united force.
Just finally, we've revealed this morning here on Sky News that a number of state government officials, including former premiers, former members of parliament, will be exempt from the government's super tax. That's because they're constitutionally exempt. What do you make of that revelation this morning?
Oh, it's not surprising, Andrew. The whole thing's a mess. You know, the super tax, it's super big and it's super bad. I think it's ridiculous. This is a tax on aspiration. You know, to tax unrealised capital gains, to make an investment and for the government to come in and tax you before you've received any gain, for a gain you may not even receive. That is unprecedented. It's a very dangerous start. For it to be not indexed means it is going to harm millions of Australians over time. The younger you are, the more you're going to be hurt, let alone for the second order effects. I mean, this super tax means that if you want to buy a home, this will hurt you. If you want to have a startup, this will hurt you. If you want to work in a high growth company, this will hurt you. If you want to invest in a high growth sector, this will hurt you. I think the entire package has been ill thought through, and it is the mark of a government that hasn't done its homework.
Ted O'Brien, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks very much, Andrew. All the best.